Hello, everyone. This is Venus Brown. I am here with a breakdown and discussion for Season 3, Episode 2 of House of the Dragon. And before I get started, I need to change the episode on here, so just bear with me a sec. That is not what I'm looking for. Here we go. All right. Now that that's fixed, I thought the last episode was pretty damn phenomenal. They covered so many bases, took care of so many things. When the end of that episode happened, like at first I was like, oh yeah, there weren't really that many deaths, but then I went back through it and I was like, no, there actually were quite a bit of deaths. We'll do a little rest in peace thing after my breakdown. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It was hard for me. I was very emotional, as I've heard other people were also, especially Rhaenyra's acting, phenomenal. I so appreciate that. But yeah, I was a blubbery mess. And I swear, like every time I go back and just see little bits and pieces of her scenes, I'm freaking crying again. It's incredible. But let's go ahead and get started with the breakdown. All right, we got a breakdown to do. This is for Season 3, Episode 2 of House of the Dragon, called Queen's Landing. We start out with the dragons finishing up in the gullet, setting fire to the remaining Triarchy ships. Bela finds Jace. She flies him home on the back of Moondancer, gives him the proper recognition that he deserves. I was worried she might be afraid to talk to Rhaenyra since they were both culpable in committing treason and going against Queen Rhaenyra. But she came back, she faced the music, she brought him to Rhaenyra in an honorable way. And when Bela does come in with Jace's body, hands him over to Rhaenyra's Queen's Guard, he asks about the battle. What happened with the battle? He's more concerned about the battle, and I get that to an extent. I mean, it is his responsibility, and he has to know that information for him to continue with his charge and do what he is responsible for doing. It just felt a little out of place, but she's like, yeah, the battle was won, but all of us were like, at what cost? All of this is so much devastation, so much death, so much blood and fighting and hatred and division. So sure, this battle was won, barely, at what cost? And when Rhaenyra finally sees Jace and sees him laying there, I don't know if it's that she doesn't realize that he is dead right away or that she just does not want to acknowledge it. Either way, it's denial, but is it because she does not understand, like she thinks he's injured? He's on a cot, he could be injured, he could be dead, it could be either way. So if she thinks he's injured and that's why he's on the cot, then that totally makes sense. What have you done? What have you done? You went and you committed treason, you locked me up, and you got yourself injured. But then, if she realizes that he is dead, but he's not getting up, and she's just in denial because she doesn't want to acknowledge that he's dead, and that's why she's saying, what have you done? What have you done? If that's it, it's a little bit different than the I think he's injured. But one way or another, eventually she realizes that he is not injured. He is dead. He is not coming back. He cannot answer. But that doesn't stop you. Like, I have definitely yelled at people that I knew couldn't yell back at me. I have flipped people off that can't flip me off. They can't see anything I'm doing and can't hear what I'm saying. It is not surprising at all. Even if you know full well this person is dead, they cannot answer you, they cannot respond, they cannot come back, you might still sit there. What have you done? Like, you want want to have a fight with them. You want to have an argument with them rather than knowing that they're never coming back. And so that's what I kind of saw that as. It's not that she's completely in denial. It's that she's not ready for him to be gone. And she probably does want that time to have that fight with him, because having a fight with him would sure as shit be a whole hell of a lot better than him never being alive again, than him never coming back, never having another fight with her, never having another disagreement. He's never coming back. And when she finally really lets that grief out, like the emotions in her face, they completely changed. The tears are pouring down her face before she ever touches him. She acted this stuff out so amazingly. I was sobbing before she ever went up to him, because it really took me back to my father having died recently, and these complex feelings of anger and frustration and sadness and grief, all almost at the same time. And there are such conflicting feelings, and you don't know how to fucking feel about it. You don't know what to do with it. So when she was saying, "What have you done? What have you done?" I was feeling that so much. And then when she got over there and she's bending down, and you could see she wants to hold him, but she doesn't want to touch him. There's so many mixed up feelings there, and so much grief. And it was just showing all over her face, all over her body language, everything. And then she grabs him and she starts hugging him, and she's crying for him. And then her Queen's Guard goes up to try to pull her away, and I'm like, you should really stay away. You should just let her fucking grieve the way she's gonna grieve, because that's the reality. Everybody grieves differently, and this is how she's going to grieve. Let her do it, because for God's sakes, she's had 2 other deaths of her children that she had almost no time to grieve at all. So let her have a fucking little bit of grief. Let her deal with that grief the way she's gonna do it, and keep your damn hands off of her. But I understand why he did it. I understand that. But I just felt like immediately in the moment that it was the wrong move to make. And she's like, "Get your hands off of me. How dare you put your hands on me?" And then starts laying into him about the folly of her son's actions, the treason he committed, and that all of the rest of them committed who knew about what Jace did. They're all culpable. Every single one of them that knew what he did and kept her fucking locked in that room and didn't even attempt to stop what was going on. His death is on all their hands. We're back searching again, this time for Corlys, with Adam and Bela talking to each other, trying to find him, looking for their dad and grandfather, as well as Alan and Bela getting to know each other a little bit better and getting to know Corlys a little bit better, well, at least for Alan. And as they're talking, we also see Adam flying in the background, and Bela's telling him, look, he's going to be looking for him too. This isn't somebody that is easily killed. There have been multiple times where we thought he was not going to make it. We long thought he was dead or was going to die, and he somehow made it through. So don't give up until we find him. You don't have a body, don't be so sure that the person's dead. Which I probably need to tell myself that for Tywin Lannister. But part of me is like, no, they didn't really even talk about it, so he's probably gone. But we also haven't seen a body, and they did bring up his name, I think, twice in the show towards the end. So maybe they're going to pick that up next episode. And the show goes over to the Vale to speak to Lady Arryn. And Rhaena had the audacity to go to Lady Arryn, which I thought was not the smartest move. But then again, when I think on it, I'm like, well, she thought most likely that if she went to anyone else, she would be in a heap of fucking shit, and she would. And she didn't know for sure whether Jace made it or not. Well, Lady Jane Arryn made it clear. He's dead. It's your fault. You caused this, and you have the nerve to come and bring all of your problems to my doorstep, where I become culpable when you're caught. And she's like, you need to leave. Don't fucking come back. And Rhaena takes that moment to kind of collect herself and remind Lady Arryn of the issues that she had with the fact that she thought she was going and get a full-grown dragon that could actually protect her in the Vale rather than these little baby dragons that can't do anything. Like, I know you feel slighted and you wanted protection, and I have protection. I can bring you protection because I have a full-grown dragon and I can protect you. And it's enough for Lady Erin to pause, to think, to say, okay, like, I can't stop a dragon from doing what a dragon's gonna do, but I can tell you that you are not welcome here. So you need to leave. I'm not gonna turn your ass in necessarily. I'm not gonna say anything about the dragon and that you were on it, but you better not come back here, because guess what? I really do not need your problems dropped on my doorstep. She also makes it clear that, like, you were supposed to be with those children on a boat on the way to Pentos, and instead you abandoned your charge, which was simultaneously my charge. I was responsible for all of you. You abandoned your part of the responsibilities, left those children to themselves with nobody to care for them, to go and chase after a dragon, a wild dragon that I warned you about. And I really felt like Jane Eyre has never really liked Rhaena very much. It doesn't seem like it. So that was another reason that I was like, what? Like, why are you coming to her? Yeah, she's probably the last person that she feels she can come to, but just probably not the best situation. Anyway, she at least got a bill of, okay, I'm not going to fucking shelter you. I'm not giving you asylum, but I'm not going to rat you out. At least that's what it sounded like to me. Did it sound that way to you? That's how it sounded to me. We go over to the Riverlands and they are celebrating. They're having a good time. They have won another battle, and apparently it's the fish feed. So I thought that we would get to see more of the fish feed. Instead, it's like we get the aftermath. Do you remember the little battle that they had basically off screen of the two Riverland families that had always been kind of fighting against each other, and they ended up having this humongous battle over a freaking disagreement? Almost everybody was killed, and they basically just showed the aftermath of that battle. I was expecting them to at least do something like that. Show the devastation of the battle and then show them celebrating, but they went straight over to the celebration. Then Simon Strong comes with a gift of wine and a message. He didn't know that the message was going to be bad news in his defense, but it was. So they go from this celebration very quickly to the heir to the throne is dead. I have to go back to Dragonstone. We're going to take King's Landing. You guys need to head over to where you're going to go. It's time to fight. I am glad, though, that he at least had the good sense to command people like he's supposed to. He thinks on his feet. He is very disconnected and ruthless in a way that makes him seem cold and heartless and everything, but it also makes it so he's able to, in a very emotional situation, shut that shit down and think what he needs to do, what commands he needs to give them, and then be on his way. Unlike Cole, who's like being Mr. Gloomy ass, not fucking taking charge, not taking care of his commander responsibilities, and just being a fucking idiot. I know, I should probably quit complaining about Cole because I complain about him enough, but I think I'm going to keep complaining about him until he's dead, till he's gone off the show. I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. But maybe not. I don't know. Before Damon takes off back over to Dragonstone, he's talking to Alice, and Alice wants Harrenhal. She's like, I have done all this stuff for you and Queen Rhaenyra. I would like something in return. I would like Harrenhal. I have lived here all my long life, and there's a lot of people that think that Alice is a lot older than most human beings are, which means she's really been there a long time. And so I think that's the least he could do for her. I mean, in the first place, who actually wants Harrenhal? And she does. And he's like, you're not a lord or lady, so I can't just give it to you. But there are landed ladies and landed lords. There are ways for you to pass this stuff on to her by giving her a fucking title. And no, he can't ensure that she could get that title, but he could have at least said something to the effect of, I will speak to the queen and see if she is willing to do something about this. But instead, he shut her down right off the bat, which pissed her off. Not so much that she completely wrote him off, but enough that she's like, you need to leave here, don't ever fucking come back. Remember what I fucking told you? Remember what you've seen? Okay, so what she told him was that he was gonna die there. So maybe don't come back, because because if you do, you're gonna die, but also maybe don't come back because you pissed me the fuck off. But what he saw was those revelations, which is what she was trying to impart to him, that Rhaenyra is part of this prophecy. You have to fight for her because this prophecy needs to come to fruition. He saw this lady with silver hair. He knows it's not Rhaenyra, but he knows it's some Targaryen. He saw the freaking dragons on her breast, all of that. He sees this battle as a means to an end to get to that position where they fight off these horrific others. So yeah, I think her comment to him to leave and never come back and to remember what she said to him, it's for many reasons. All of those reasons. And maybe many more. Another little bit about the search for Corlys. We go back to Alan and Bela talking to each other, him asking her about her grandfather. She knew him since she was a small child. What kind of person was he? And then she goes on to talk about him, that he was stern, but he was gentle, and that he loved his wife more than about any man that she knew. And then she tried to soften the reality that he had basically been absent from Alan's life, most of his life, by saying that she feels like he did that for her. But he's like, that doesn't make me feel any better. While they're talking, he asks about her losing her fiance, and she's like, we were together as children. And then she turns around and says that I'm tired of losing people. And that, I think, is the real message there, is that they have lost so many people, so many loved ones in their life, and just tired of losing people. So we're not going to give up. We are going to keep looking. And then they find him. Next, we're on the road with Aegon and Larys, and Larys is like, oh, I can see you must not be in so much pain anymore. You haven't complained about needing milk of the poppy. And I'm like, that's not because he's not in pain. And Aegon is like, I'm still in pain. I'm just fucking mad at you. It was great. It was great because, oh my gosh, like, one of the things when my father did die is that I was just trying to do all this stuff. It was keeping me distracted. It was keeping me busy, and it was keeping me numb and keeping me from feeling anything. Just staying busy, keeping distracted. And that's immediately what I thought, is like, nah, he's not in pain. He might be thinking about the pain less because of this situation. When he said, no, I'm still in pain, I'm just mad at you, I was like, yeah, like he's festering in that anger, and that is keeping him from complaining about the fucking milk of the poppy. So I thought that was great. And then their caravan gets attacked by Triarchy that are loose on the land out there. This actually enables them to escape. But Larys had a suggestion of a direction to go, and Aegon was like, oh, hell no, we're not going that way. We're going to Rock's Rest. Like, I'm going to do what I plan to do. So I don't know if they are going to go along with Aegon's plan and actually get all the way to Rock's Rest, or if, there will be another monkey wrench thrown in and they'll end up somewhere else. But it sounds like, at least for now, wherever it was that Larys was suggesting is off the table. But we'll see. I have a feeling they are on foot, and plans like that often go awry. They may end up in Rook's Rest, they may not. We'll see. And since Adam finally found Corlys, they all are together now. They're able to, talk to each other, rejoice that they found him alive, and he gets to apologize for not leaving them anything. But then he's like, even though I have nothing else to give you, I can at least give you my name. And Alan is like, all the fucking mounds of gold in the world wouldn't mean nearly as much to me as getting your name. Like, that's always been important to him. And he's finally being recognized and getting his father's name, which is a big deal, because bastards with their recognizable bastard names, they are treated a certain kind of way. And even if it is known that the person is a bastard, but they have their father's actual last name, it provides them much more respect. People treat you differently, at least in Westeros. Now, Alicent has been trying to work on Aemon, work on the people around her. She finally got Aemon to fly the fuck out of there and head for Harrenhal. So Aemon's off to Harrenhal while Alicent is busy on the ground trying to put things in motion. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. We see the dragon seeds again. They're with Daemon, and Daemon wants to know, like, why did you leave your post after less than 2 days? They explained to him that Aemon just didn't come, that Vhagar never showed up, so they felt they needed to leave. I really felt like they should have started with what they ended up with. They tell him about the creepy sounds and all of that, and seeing strange things, which Daemon's going to be very well aware of. Like, Daemon dealt with it, which probably, in my opinion, is going to make Daemon feel like, yeah, I fucking dealt with that the whole time I was there, and I didn't leave my post. But also that they saw this woman. But they waited till the very end of their speech to tell him that they saw this woman. They thought maybe it was a maester or maybe a witch. Like, had they started with it, they saw her and she told them that Rhaenyra needed help in Dragonstone. That would have made more sense. It would have been like, oh, well, somebody was commanding that I need to do this, that I'm supposed to do this to help Rhaenyra. Instead, you start off with, we left because he didn't show up. And oh, we were scared. And oh, there were creepy noises and creepy things. And then some lady showed up. They didn't even say that she had warned him that they needed help, that they should go to Dragonstone, that they're missing the battle. No, they just say they saw this person they thought was a maester or a witch. So that's their prerogative. They messed that up. I think they should have led with who they saw and what they had said. Then you can talk about the creepy noises and Aemon not showing up and all of that, because that way at least it sounds like maybe you had a valid reason. You weren't just abandoning your post. Then Daemon and Mysaris have a little discussion about how Rhaenyra is doing, the fact that she had locked herself up in the room, the idea that she talked to Alicent, and can Alicent be trusted? Is there really still this relationship with them? Like, is there still this bit of friendship with them despite all this other shit that's happened since they were friends? And can you trust her? Can you trust Alicent? Can you trust Rhaenyra in the condition she's in? And Mysaris is like, yeah, like, I wouldn't be serving her if I didn't think I could trust her. And Daemon also has some words with her. They kind of dance around the relationship issue, but you can still tell there's some jealousy brewing between the two of them, and they're kind of dancing around it a little bit, but not exactly fully addressing it. And Daemon asks Mysaris something, like insinuating that this has to do with Mysaris' feelings about Daemon or wanting revenge against Daemon, and she's like, not everything is about you. Which, there's so many people that I feel like saying that to sometimes. Like, they think that every little disagreement, every little question, every little statement is about them, and sometimes this stuff isn't about you. Sometimes it's not about you. You're so vain, you're so vain, I bet you think this song is about you. You're so vain, you're so vain, you really think this song is about you. Don't you, don't you? But there is also something that Daemon says to Mysaris when they're talking about whether Alicent can be trusted or not, whether she might stab her in the back or whatever. And Daemon says something to the effect that he's always taken Alicent as more of a conspirator than a deceiver. And I agree. She's very, very conspiratorial, but not so much trying to deceive people. I mean, I would say that right now she's trying to deceive the Greens, but I don't think she is lying or trying to turn her back on Rhaenyra. I think her plan was intentional and that she meant to stick to her plan. It just didn't go as planned. And then we go to King's Landing, and Alicent is talking to Sir Rickard, who has told her, you really shouldn't go absent from my charge again like you did. Like, I haven't seen you for a while, didn't know where you fucking went or what was going on. on. Like, we need to keep tabs on each other and stick around. And she's like, look, I got other shit to tend to. I need to speak to so-and-so. Where is he? And you need to set up a meeting, which is going to happen presently, which I was under the impression that presently means now. So like, I might be going and getting something ready, but then I'm going to go straight to this meeting. But she also said that she needed to talk to so-and-so. So it wouldn't necessarily, in my mind, be presently. It would be after I talk to this commander or the commander's guard or whoever it was. He is like, are you serious? Like, I just told you, like, we need to keep tabs. But I didn't feel like what she said was not allowing to keep tabs on her. I felt like she was saying, I've got this to take care of. I'm going to go talk to him. So you know where I am. You know what I'm doing. We need to set up this meeting. It needs to happen like sooner rather than later, like now. So to me, I'm not quite sure why he was so suspect of her. I understand she's doing all kinds of underhanded shit, but her behavior at the time made sense for the situation in a way that I didn't feel that he should have suspected something of her. In my opinion, as soon as any of them knew that Rhaenyra was coming with her 3 or 4 dragons to King's Landing to take over, they should have been trying to get all the fucking royal family rounded up, figure out what they're doing, and hide the fucking females and children. Like, that should have been immediately. You know these dragons are coming, you know they fly and they are fast, so get the fucking queen, get the queen dowager, get the children, and go hide them. And they have all that underground stuff. Like, they should have been making that happen, and they weren't doing that. And then when she was caught later on trying to pack stuff up, they were like, oh, you're committing treason. And to me, I'm like, no, like, there's dragons coming. You know there's dragons coming. They're going to try to take over King's Landing. You should be trying to protect the queen dowager, and the children, and you're doing nothing to do that. And you're accusing her of treason. Granted, she was committing treason, but I didn't feel that what she was doing showed that. So then we're back at Dragonstone. Daemon is trying to talk Rhaenyra into getting up, going to King's Landing, and doing this stuff. She is crying in bed. He's like, you need to do this. She's like, he disobeyed me. He like went against what I said. And Daemon's like, that's what sons do. And I was like, you know what? That's actually very true. What he did is treason, but the fact that he disobeyed her is definitely something sons do. So I thought that was a very important moment of levity there. But then he tries to convince her that she needs to get up. And she's like, my 2 kids are dead. Like, how is this worth it? And he uses these visions that he's had to confirm what her father has told to her about these prophecies. What if it is true? Shouldn't you do it then? And so that kind of coaxes her up. But I want to say something about, like, all the rest of the show. She is still very sad. She is in a lot of grief. You see her when she's walking, she is hunched over. You can see she is just like dragging herself through all the motions. And that's how I felt when my dad died. I'd say the first 3 days I was just doing everything I could to stay busy, to try to get as much stuff as I could done. And by about 3 days of this, I was almost getting through all the records, and I was getting very, very tired. It was like all the energy I had just been sucked out of me. And that's how I felt, like I was just dragging myself through everything in the day. Like I was just forcing myself to do it to get through the day. And that is what she looked like to me. That to me is exactly how she looked. Like she was forcing herself, dragging herself through these things because she knew they had to be done. But that she also was like drained of energy and sad in grief and angry and all of this stuff. And it was so much showing in all her actions. Next, we're back in King's Landing again, and Lord Jasper shows up. This is what I was talking about. He sees her packing up. up and takes it as treason. And to me, there are multiple dragons coming to their castle to attack King's Landing. They should be protecting these women, their children, and getting them the fuck out of there. And instead, they're accusing her of treason for trying to pack the fuck up and get the fuck out of there. That to me is absurd. But then he goes and he tries to fucking rape her. And I am so glad that somebody came in. And also, when women are raped like that, when they are attacked like that, when they are harassed, when they are assaulted, sometimes they freeze up and they can't fucking do anything. Sometimes they're too scared. Sometimes their bodies and brains just freeze up. But sometimes they actually try to attack, which she did. She tried to find something and hit him and kicked him and tried. And there are several situations when you're trying to attack some people think if you attack them, well, that will stop it. No, oftentimes it makes it actually worse. Like some of the freezing that we might do is because we know that if we fight too hard, we might make it worse and they might be more horrible to us. They might hurt us more. They might be more likely to kill us. And so this idea that you're just gonna fight back. You have to fight back because why wouldn't you fight back if somebody's attacking you? Because you know it might get worse. You know it might get worse. And when she attacked him, he just kept on and then fucking pinned her down. And that I think bothered me the most because I've been in this situation, not exactly, but similar enough. Once they get you pinned down, you can't fucking move anymore. So you can't fight against them. You can't defend yourself. It's very hard. And so that, like, it really fucking hit me when he started pinning her down. And I was like, oh shit, because she has no way to fucking fight back once she's in that situation. So I was so glad when Maester Orwell showed up. And it was so glad that he was on her side. I mean, honestly, in situations like that, even if he took his side and saw what she was doing as treason, what he was doing is also treason. So in that respect, if he's going to agree that she's committing treason, I think he should say that both of them are committing treason. They both need to be locked up. They both need to go on some kind of trial to figure out the reality of what happened or what was going on. But he took her side. He didn't entertain the guy's idea of treason because he saw him trying to rape her and he knew what he saw and he made it clear, like, you fucking putting your hands on the Queen Dowager, on the Queen's mother is completely unacceptable. It doesn't matter what kind of treason she's committing. You don't do that. That is a fucking offense punishable by death. So he rightfully had him arrested and then he addressed her. Like, you could tell he knew that she might have been up to something that she shouldn't have done, but he didn't accuse her of treason. He accused her of that he worries that she did something out of desperation, which is true. She did this out of desperation, and I don't blame her. She's got these two sons that are fucking out of control. She thought that she would be able to control them and use them as puppets to take control over the kingdom, but that turned out to be delusional and wrong. Like, they weren't fucking properly prepared. Daemon was properly prepared to rule, but was never given permission to. Aegon was never prepared to rule and was forced to. So I don't blame her. Once she realized that shit was just beyond the fucking pale and she couldn't do anything to fucking fix that, she realized that the only fixing it is getting them out of these positions and putting the actual rightful heir back on the throne. I think that's the worst part to me, is that she kept going along with this even though she knew that Rhaenyra was the rightful heir. Yes, she heard these words from her husband on his dying bed that she took to mean that he wanted her sons on the throne. But I still to this day believe that she was just hearing what she wanted to hear, and she was completely ignoring the facts on the ground, that there are many Aegons in the Targaryen family. And when he said the name Aegon, he could have been talking about any of them. I mean, they already had another Aegon living at the time in their family, and she just automatically assumed it was her son Aegon. I mean, the reality is he's talking about Aegon the Conqueror, I think, but just a mess. Just a mess. But either way, like the whole thing with the Greens plotting against Rhaenyra, that was happening before her husband ever said jack shit. Before she ever accidentally heard her husband say something that she thought was something else. And she never corrected that. The whole thing was treason from the beginning. And she's finally releasing the throne back to the rightful heir. I don't know that she sees it that way, but that's how I see it. She's at least acknowledging to Helena that it was a mistake. Now we go back to Dragonstone again. Daemon is getting Rhaenyra to go along. They're going to take over King's Landing. They're talking to the Seeds, telling them, don't fuck this up. No fucking thinking. You're just following the orders, doing what you're supposed to. They're fairly simple orders. Can you fucking stay on plan? And he definitely makes a point to fucking point out, Ulf, you're not supposed to be fucking thinking. You're supposed to be doing. Then they try to talk to the council, and the council's like, oh, are you sure you should do this? And Daemon's like, she didn't fucking stutter. She made very clear what she was going to do. This is what we're going to do. I will be with her. She has people here to defend her. We will be fine. You need to fucking follow orders and do what you're fucking told. And I was glad that Daemon was there to do that. There's something I think people misunderstand or they get wrong when it comes to oppressed groups and privileged groups. When a privileged group is trying to help an oppressed group out, you're not supposed to speak for them. You're not supposed to do everything for them. You're supposed to elevate them. And so he let her say what she needed to say. And then when they chimed in and tried to second guess her, he stepped in so that he could elevate her voice, so that he could make sure that she was being listened to and wasn't being discounted just because she's a woman. That, I think, is important. Make sure that the person in the oppressed group actually has a voice, that they can speak, that they can say what they need to say, that they can do what they need to do, that they can make their own choices. And when somebody tries to interfere or step on them or undermine them, then that person from a privileged group that is trying to help can kind of step in and be like, no, she didn't stutter. She means what she says. You need to follow instructions. Yes, they are more likely to listen to him. It's unfortunate, but him being there helps to mitigate some of the problems that stuff causes, that I think she should have been having that with the people that are leading her all along. She talks, she makes decisions, and if somebody else is trying to interfere, those with privileged positions that are actually trying to help her step in and make sure that what she says is elevated, not muted, not squelched, not squashed. Now we go back to King's Landing again. I know it's back and forth, but that's the way it's gonna be for a little bit. We're with Alicent. She's trying to get Helena. They're trying to get out of there, and like Alicent comes to talk to Helena and says that they need to get out of there, that Rhaenyra is coming, that she's going to hand over the kingdom to her. And Helena asks if there's going to be a battle. She asks, what about the fact that you and grandfather and all these people had said that Aegon was supposed to be king? And then Alicent indicates that she made a mistake, that it wasn't right. There is not going to be a battle. They're just going to forfeit this over to Rhaenyra. And Helena says you already talked to her. But another thing she says that I am curious about, well, I will talk about that later when I do my favorites and least favorites and all of that. Now, because Cole sees Vhagar flying towards Harrenhal, and so he finally commands his army, we're going to Harrenhal, and follows the dragon to Harrenhal. Aemon gets to Harrenhal. He is on a killing spree, setting fire to everybody, chopping everybody up. He clears most of Harrenhal because there's not really that many people there, and then goes into the chambers where Simon is eating with his sons. And I'm like, why? Why did you come back? You should have just stayed over there with the troops and not come back to fucking Harrenhal. Because he had not that long before then been there with them when he gave Daemon the message, when they were celebrating their fish feed win. And I was like, oh, if you had just stayed there and been gone and just kept yourself gone, go take fucking refuge somewhere else. But no, he came back. I mean, I guess guess he didn't really know, but still. Aemon, being who Aemon is like, draw your sword. He wants to fucking duel with this guy, and this guy's like, I haven't drawn a sword in fucking forever. Like, this isn't my style. Like, maybe there's something else we could arrange. But Aemon ain't hearing it, and he just stabs him in the gut and kills him. And his two sons, rather than running away, I'm like, I would have fucking run away. I would have been the fuck out of there and ran away as fast as I could, hoping to God that this guy did not catch me. But instead, they just stood there and let themselves get killed. At least, though, the second one pulled a fucking dagger on this guy and got him, I think, in the lower back and side in a way that he didn't notice it really right away, and eventually it started to really take him down, but not soon enough for him not to kill both of them. So they both end up dead, and he's in a bad way. And as he's bending over in pain, realizing that he was stabbed, he starts to collapse, and Alice Rivers is in there. She is giving him the fucking evil eye from hell. Like, the angry look, much like she was giving Daemon earlier when he said that she wasn't gonna get Harrenhal. And I really hope she keeps to that anger for a little while. I know she's gonna help him, but I hope she keeps to that anger for a while. I hope that she really fucks with him like she did Daemon. I think this guy is gonna be injured, and he's gonna be in a bad state, and he's gonna be in a delusional, in and out, almost comatose state for a while, and she can do all that fucking with him, and it might be even more dramatic than with Daemon because of his injury. So I'm really hoping that she does that before she actually starts helping him. I'm hearing a lot of people that think that she's just automatically going to be like, well, I'll help you if you give me Harrenhal. But I'm hoping that she doesn't do that. That she starts out like, I'm going to help you because that's just who I am. But I'm not going to be nice about it. I think you're a trifling piece of shit. I'm going to try to fucking mend you while I let fucking Harrenhal do the shit that it does to people's heads, and maybe fuck with your head a little bit myself, play around with that. I hope that's what happens. But in the meantime, he's calling for her to help him, and he collapses, and she just looks angry. In my opinion, she looks angry, like, you really fucking think I should help you? But I am pretty sure she will. I think was the last time we saw her that episode. Then we see the dragons coming over to King's Landing, and the people are scared. They have every right to be scared. Dragons are fucking scary. But what I wanted to point out to all of them who were scared and running through the streets is that none of them were burning anybody. All those dragons, I think it was like 4 dragons were there. They landed, they scared the shit out of people, but none of them burnt anybody. That's what I think people should really be grasping onto. I know they're going to made it what it was. I'm pretty sure Daemon's the one that gave them the gold cloaks. Daemon's the one that gave them the names. Daemon's the one that created the prestige around the whole thing. And that's exactly what happened. Like, they're like, hey, we remember our Lord Commander. We remember that he gave us these gold cloaks, that he made us who we are. And the guy that I think was in charge, the one I believe that Alicent had spoken to earlier, trying to see if he would see what she was doing as treason or not, was like, yeah, we remember Daemon, my Lord Commander. He put me in this charge 20 years ago, gave me my gold cloak, and we recognize Rhaenyra as the queen, the one true heir. So I was very happy about that, because it felt like finally we're getting enough people together in the fucking throne room in King's Landing to say this is the one true heir, and basically y'all committed treason, because I wanted that so much. I know it's mostly green. These people committed treason. Somebody needs to pay for it, and we're gonna see heads roll because of it. They start with Maester Orwell, and he's like, look, I know you're mad, I know you need to take heads and everything, but I have a better person for you to make an example out of. He indicates that Lord Jasper is in prison because he had gotten caught for trying to rape the Queen Dowager. So they of him, and he tells them, well, if you're gonna fucking kill me, just get it over with, but let Daemon do it, so at least then you're not hacking me to death. And I'm like, oh no. As soon as he said that, I would have been like, nope, I think you deserve to have a nice, slow, fucking painful death. But also, this has to be a way to give Rhaenyra recognition that she is the queen, that she has the fucking kahunas to do this stuff, that she has the guts, she has the character, she has the know-how, she has the ability to do the part of the man's job that men think women can't do, even if she's not good at it at first, because she has no fucking sword training, which really pisses me off. Like, King Viserys should have made sure she was well trained on swords, on has not been trained, but I think he gives her the speech she needs to know that it has to be done, that she has to do it to make things right, and that she can. Because she's like, I don't know if I can. She doesn't say, I don't think I can. She says, I don't know if I can. And he's like, you have to. And I think she knows enough that she has to hit hard and heavy. But that first swing is going to be hard for anybody who's never killed a person or who's never been about that life. It is not surprising to me at all that the first one was not hard enough, and it was a little bit off. So she was a little bit low on the neck, which means it was his upper back, lower neck, upper back, and it was on his collar. I don't know if his collar was just canvas or if it was canvas and leather or what, but I imagine it was a bit thick. It was probably not helping with the whole chopping through the fucking skin and bone and all of that other shit. It was in a very bad place. Had she not been able to get him dead, he would have been in a fucking serious state, but no matter. She chops the first time. It goes through his jacket. I think it went through the skin a little bit, but not enough to do much of anything, just to make him hurt. And then she pulls up, she slams it down, and she gets his whole head clean off. And I want people to understand that that is a big deal. Chopping somebody's head clean off with one fucking swipe of the sword. That first hit doesn't count because she didn't even hit on the neck. The real count was when she hit his neck one time and it went all the way through the skin, the flesh, the spinal cord, all of it. Cut it clean off. That is not an easy thing to do, and especially on your first time. And she did. She did. So I think that was very awesome, and it does say a lot. And then she slowly makes her way to the throne, and like over to the throne and Rhaenyra on the throne. And you see Alicent look up and she looks angry and surprised. I think people saw that look and they took it as Alicent being angry and upset and surprised in a way that, oh, she might feel like she was betrayed or something like that, that wasn't part of their deal. She wasn't expecting her father to get killed. But I think Alicent knows that Rhaenyra has to kill somebody. Aegon is gone. Aegon fucking fled the building and she made Aemon leave, which means somebody else has to be fucking killed. She knows that. And I'm thinking she's going to be surprised and upset that her father is now dead, that he's been beheaded, but that she will also have the good sense to realize that Rhaenyra had to do that to establish herself. So I think after Alicent gives it some thought that she will let that go. She will not turn her back on her or change her mind or start backstabbing because of it. I think the things we saw in the trailer from her was her realizing that this was harsh, this was awful, but this was something that Rhaenyra had to do. And that when she said, I can see you've been merciful, that she was being very sarcastic, but that she was also acknowledging that Rhaenyra had to do what she had to do. So I think that will all be good, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to start right off there when we start the next episode. That's what I... All right, now back to my live self. Okay, all right, everybody. I am back. I gotta be very quick and in a hurry. I am sorry about the glowy stuff in the background. There is a green star that hangs from my lights in the dining room that kind of spins around, and that's what's causing that. Anyway, I got to be very quick. We're going to do a quick rest in peace for Simon Strong, his two sons, many in the Harrenhal soldiers, King's Landing Knights, Otto Hightower, and Jasper Wild. Goodbye to all of them and rest in peace or pieces or whatever. Now, VIP for the episode, Rhaenyra just fire acting. Disgusting sleaze of the episode, Lord Jasper Wilde. What a piece of shit. He just needs to go. And his comment about, oh, my wife, please tell her. No, like, you obviously don't give a shit about your wife when you're trying to fucking rape somebody else. So don't even fucking act like you give a shit about her. Fuck you. Best line of the episode. From Daemon Targaryen, the rats in the black cells have grown uncommon big. I loved that. That was awesome. Most curious about when Helena said, it isn't the season, and she was looking at a caterpillar. Everything Helena says like that seems a bit cryptic usually means something, so I definitely want to look into that later on. Best scene that warmed my heart. Not Rhaena. Oh my gosh. Rhaenyra is grieving in bed, and Daemon tries to stir her as to taking the throne. Says that her boys, she gets up and she says that her 2 boys are dead. So I can sit on a throne of swords, and then she lays back down like, what the fuck ridiculousness is this? But then Daemon reminds her of the prophecy, and he confirms that prophecy, saying that he saw it. It wasn't just said by your dad. It was actually seen by me. What if it's true? Okay, most fun. Aegon is not in less pain, and he just starts like laying into Larys. That just cracked me up. Most disappointing scene. No Harrenhal for Alice. I thought that was really jacked up, not jacked. Really jacked up that when she asked for Harrenhal, Daemon didn't even try. He didn't even try to be like, well, maybe I'll talk to the queen and see what we can do. No, he just completely shut her off. Biggest missed opportunity, the fish feed, because they just showed the celebration and they didn't even show an image of the aftermath, and I really think they should have at least done that. I would have been totally fine with just that. It could have been one freaking brief image panning out and then straight to the celebration. Okay, themes in the episode. Honors and rewards for whatever it is that you are doing. Treason. Killing with swords. Lots of killing with swords. Also killing with fire, though. Thanks to Daemon, thanks to Aemon, because Aemon just can't help himself. He thinks everything has to be handled as quickly and as harshly and as terribly as possible. Pushing through when you're in pain, when you're having struggles, when it is hard and it is difficult, and you just have to fucking push through everything just to make stuff happen. And the cost of victory. If we had a victory in this situation, look at what it cost. How much did it cost? It cost so fucking much. Is it even fucking worth it? All right, y'all, that is all I've got for you, because I got to go get some tires on my car, and then I got to take my kid to an appointment. So I'll see you when I see you. Bye.